Hey people, welcome back. In this video you will learn how to make your own Dataweave editor. But first, we must have a short introduction on what's Dataweave. Dataweave is a Mule ESB native language used to solve complex transformations of certain input payloads or variable information to a certain output format. But there is a catch. The input and output data can be of limited set of data formats. Unlike C, Python, Java, Dataweave is pretty straightforward. It does not need an interpreter or a compiler. It uses DataSense. It is platform dependent, works internally on Java. So please, even when you want to call it a Dataweave language, do not call it a language because it's not that loosely coupled. Call it a transformation syntax, which takes in some form of input and turns it into a required output. Enough with the introduction. You can play with Dataweave using transform messages, set payloads, set variables, or any place where your mule allows you to put one. Now what is a Dataweave editor? Let's use this URL to see how it looks. Well, this is the Dataweave editor. It does similar operations as of that Mule Studio transform message does. But this is much agile interface to work with. That too online. There are plenty of advantages to use this online editor. It's faster, transforms data as you type in, does not require you to deploy an entire Mule app, a secluded interface with just a single objective, lets you to add multiple DWL scripts to use, helps with rapid analysis and bug fixes, lets you to choose various Dataweave versions to play with. I will talk about Dataweave in a separate masterclass. Since we understood what Dataweave editor is used for, next we need to figure out how to create one. But wait, you may ask, why can't we use those editors which are already available online? For this, I have no answer. It's just personal preferences and the curiosity to know how. Now to facilitate our objective, we need a remote server to host the editor. The source code of the editor has been already created by a guy named Matchwal. You can find the Git repository here. Not only him and his team developed the online editor, but they gave us a Dataweave CLI, a command line interface, which you can install and use using homebrew installation on Linux systems. Nevertheless, working with Dataweave CLI is a little painful, but I would be grateful to use it in any Python or shell scripting to automate certain transformations. It's a splendid app. Now for the main goal of creation of our editor, I'm going to use AWS EC2 Ubuntu virtual machine instance, and later we will install Docker and create a Docker container application with Dataweave editor image and deploy it on a well-known port. Before you do this, you need to have your own AWS account. I have a free trial version. Go ahead and create your one. Remember, you can also do this using Azure without Docker, without any virtual machine on your own Ubuntu laptop if you have one. But you need to do a hell lot of stuff like port forwarding, local server, etc. Trust me, AWS cloud services are far better and affordable. Now first, I'll log into my AWS account using AWS console. I'll use my root account credentials to log in. Once we log in, we'll go and check for the service EC2. Click on it. That's going to take you to your Elastic Cloud Compute page. In here, you need to launch your AMI, Amazon Machine Instances. Now as you noticed, I already have an instance running on the T2 micro instant type, running on a public IPv4 address highlighted. Let's launch one more new instance. Choose the Amazon machine image and scroll down a little. You will find Ubuntu Server 20.04 LTS SSD volume free tier eligible version. This is a 64-bit version. Select. Next, choose your instance type as T2 micro. Note, beware of your regions you are considering this for. Not all regions are free. T2 micro gets you up to 750 hours each month, which is roughly 30 days free every month for the next 1 year. T2 micro also gives you 1 GB memory and 1 virtual CPU core for instance. It also supports IPv6, etc. etc. Next, click on Configure Instance. In here, you need to do nothing. If you have an IAM role, use it. For now, I will leave it alone. Set your shutdown behavior to stop and check Stop Hibernate behavior. Also check Accidental Termination Protection. Choose CloudWatch Monitoring if you want to. The rest, leave it as it is. Next, go to Storage Settings. First, choose to encrypt your SSD drive. Make sure Delete on Termination is enabled. Choose your SSD size for this root volume directory. I will use the default. You are entitled to add more storage volume to the instance to a maximum of 30 GB EBS for a free tier account. Next, directly go to Configure Security Group. These are the default connection options to the instance. Let's change the type to all traffic. Source IP origination is set to anywhere. We also allow all well-known ports. Create a new security group, name it and launch. The final review will throw you a warning message to not allow all the IPs and ports, but it's okay. Now one final time, review your settings and the details and launch. Select or create a key pair if you want to log in using an SSH client or a terminal. I will select my already created key pair and launch. Launching an AMI takes time. Wait till the status check on your newly created instance is past the initializing state. Check your region. Check IPv4 address. Now click on Connect. Here you have three options: Session Manager Connect, SSH Client Connect, Direct Web Browser Connect. We will choose the option 1 and connect. Once you log in, you will be granted a terminal display on your browser. From now, we need to update our instance to the right settings and install Docker. First type in sudo apt-get update. This will perform a full update of your system. Now type this command to install all the necessary HTTPS and CA certificates needed. Next, type in this curl command to add the Ubuntu Docker GPG key to the machine. This will allow you to add the Ubuntu Docker Debian repository to successfully download the relevant packages. Once added to the repo using this command, once again, update your machine using update command to update the source list. Next, type in apt cache policy docker -ce to check if you indeed are about to download and install the correct Docker version supporting your Ubuntu machine. Next, type sudo apt install docker-ce. This will install Docker successfully. Next, type in the command sudo systemctl status docker to check if your Docker has started, to see if it's running and active. Type docker help to list all the Docker app command documents. This command sudo docker container ls-a lists all the current Docker containers present in this machine. To simply test the Docker, type docker run hello world. This will by default pull the Docker image from the upstream Docker registry, install it and run it. It will display a message once it's finished. By this, you would know the Docker has successfully installed and been verified. Now our last and final step to fulfill our objective is to pull the Dataweave Playground image from the Docker registry using sudo docker pull matchval /Dataweave Playground 2.3.0 snapshot and hit enter. Check if your image is successfully pulled. It has a size of 1.3 gigabytes. Now for our final command, type sudo docker run -d tag name Dataweave Playground 2. This is the name of the container. Next, tag p 9998:8080. This is the Docker application listening port, listening on 9998, proxying over the HTTP 8080 port of this machine. The last part would be the Docker image name. Hit enter. Once again, check if your container app is up and running. We are done. Now all that we need is to copy the IPv4 public address of this machine and pass the listening 9998 port in a browser. The Docker application will listen to the incoming connections and generates a Dataweave editor UI ready to use. Wow, we did it. We have our own Dataweave Playground Editor app. Finally, I do not need this instance since I already have one running. So I will terminate this. Feel free to look at this GitHub repo for the playground and this page for the playground Docker image. Hope you learned something fun. Have a great day. Bye.